While much of the headlines this week have been about Joe Biden and his position as the Democratic nominee, there's also been a good deal of coverage of something called Project 2025. You might have seen it. It's a plan published by a conservative think tank which lays out what it calls the blueprint for the first 180 days of the next conservative presidency. And it contains a plan to radically reshape some of that country's core policies. Joining us this morning for a closer look is Rachel Lingan. She's a reporter for The Guardian, and she covers misinformation and democracy. What a beat. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So the policy for Project 2025 is online. You can read it for yourself. It says its first consensus recommendation is to, quote, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. The goal, it goes on to say, is to, quote, maintain a biblically based, social science reinforced definition of marriage and family. And it specifically outlines a plan to remove all references to gender, abortion and reproductive health, and rights from every federal rule and legislation that exists. How else does Project 2025 propose to reshape the president's or reshape the next president's American policy?
It proposes very strict immigration changes, including mass deportations, a strict border, many changes to visas and other forms of legal immigration as well. It also, I think one of the biggest provisions would remake how our government operates to include far more political appointees than civil servants, which means that there would be far more people in state government who are there because of their political beliefs rather than their expertise.
Another pillar of Project 2025 has to do with reshaping the makeup of the government itself. And what would that look like?
So as I mentioned, it would look like a lot more people who are there because of their political views. So there would be a lot more people who would go along with whatever the president asks, regardless of whether that fits in to what their data shows, what past precedents are. Right now, the core of the U.S. government is made up of people who are called civil servants who are not political appointees. So they stay regardless of who's the president. Only a small number, as of now, are political appointees. This would radically increase the amount of political appointees. And for many, that seems like an erosion of checks and balances in our system.
A lot of people wondering, does this reflect the beliefs and the will of Donald Trump? Donald Trump has distanced himself from Project 2025. In a post on Truth Social, he denied knowing who is behind it, and he disavows the plan as ridiculous and abysmal before wishing them luck. So the group behind, for curiosity's sake, the group behind Project 2025 is known as the Heritage Foundation, who said in 2018 that Trump had followed 64% of its policy recommendations in the first year of his term. How connected is former President Trump to the people who are behind Project 2025?
Many of the people who helped write and edit the document are people who served in some capacity in his administration, helped on his campaign, his transition. They're people from Trump world. This is definitely Heritage's attempt to what they've called institutionalized Trumpism. It's very aligned with Trump, his policies, who he is, et cetera. He himself, I would doubt he read it. It's very long. It's 900 some pages. It's incredibly detailed. His platform differs in some small ways, but for the most part, many of the policies here align with what Trump has said. And this is essentially a conservative consensus of what should happen. And moreover, a lot of the granular details here, I don't know to what extent Trump has any interest in weighing in on those, and may just take up what the conservative consensus is as laid out in Project 2025.
How's the Joe Biden campaign framing Project 2025?
They're framing it as an existential threat, right? In the past few weeks here since the debate, this has become a point for them to kind of remind Democrats what the election could entail, what they could be getting with the second Trump administration. And one way they've kind of shorthanded to point to that is to say, Google Project 2025, they're going to run ads on this, I'm sure. For liberals, everything included in Project 2025 is basically an affront. It's an entirely different belief system and would install so many changes that differ from how they want to see the U.S. government run, that it is an effective line for the Biden campaign to point to remind voters this is what could be coming.
Rachel Lingan, great to speak to you from The Guardian this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.